Hope you're all fierce. Welcome to The Performer's Path, the podcast where we delve into the highs and lows of the performance industry and beyond. If it's using your creative juices for onstage, in auditions, or those in-between jobs, we discuss it all with real people in the industry who've been there and got the t-shirt as a gift. By discussing audition rejections and success, we're taking away the fear of the unknown, whilst also giving vital tips for success. So let's tread the boards together in this week's episode. In our first episode with Jordan Lee Smith, aka JLS, he talks through his inspiration leading his path and wanting to be Elton John.
How are you, dear?
I'm very good, Alison. How are you?
I'm living the dream, you know me. Right, so as the title of this podcast is The Performer's Path, just like you to talk us through your performer's path, from where you got inspired, how you got inspired, through to college, and then all the changes in your career.
Sure. God, where do I start? Well, I guess the first thing for me was piano playing, actually. It was something that I wanted to do when I was 5 years old, and I asked my parents for piano lessons, and they rightly said no. They thought it was a passing phase. And then I asked again when I was 6, and instead they got me Elton John tickets. So we went to the MEN Arena back in the day and watched Elton perform. Fell in love, and I was like, now you see what I want to do. So I never wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be Elton John, you know.
Yeah.
So for my 7th birthday, I got my piano lessons. So that's where the music bit of it started. Theatre has always been a part of my life. I think it was from my mum's inspiration of the old MGM movies and Judy Garland. And I went through a phase, apparently, of watching The Wizard of Oz for 6 months straight, and then graduated to The Wizard of Oz the next 6 months after, you know. So I knew I wanted to do something within that realm, I guess, even if I didn't realize in my little head at that time. And then I think, I'm going to guess here, I must have been 10 years old or something like that. After attending various, Saturday schools, I ended up going to, I think they're called the Hammond Associate. Did Saturday school there for literally like a term or two. And the wonderful Anthea Garrett suggested that I auditioned for the Hammond. And I don't know how many people know this particular fact. You may know this, Husey, but my very first ever ballet class in my life was my audition for the Hammond Lower School.
Do you know how many people on this podcast that we've interviewed who have said that? It is ridiculous.
Right?
Yeah,
it's scary.
I think that's what's so cool, though, because we've had students who've been so eclectic in what they wanted to do in their aspirations, and it's all changed, but it's just been a joyous journey for them, which is why I wanted to talk to you.
Absolutely, of course. So it must have went well. I figured out what plie was in that one hour, and got into Hammond. And I was at Hammond for 8 years. I did lower school for 5 years and the musical theatre diploma for 3 years. It was very much like I wasn't a dancer, didn't think I was a dancer, but at that time, especially for lower school, it was like, if you want to do musical theatre, the dance course was the thing to do, so that's what I did, you know. I'll talk about how that's affected me in my career now when I get there. But eight years of ballet, there you go, and that's never left me, honestly. And then after those 8 years, in my grad year, I was very much in a place of not really knowing exactly what I wanted to do. But Kevin Williams, the then head of music, recommended that I look at the musical theatre postgrad at the Royal Academy of Music. And a few teachers have suggested that's something for me to do. For anyone who doesn't know, that course, it still runs as a 1-year postgrad, and they only take on 35 performers a year, as well as these days, I think it's 3 musical directors. They have a musical director course pathway as well. And that sort of intrigued me as well, because obviously I play piano. I often played piano for school friends, for rehearsals at Hammond. That was very much a thing, but it never really crossed my mind that that would be my career path, you know. I was just never thought.
Am I right in remembering that you also played piano in your graduate showcase?
I did, yeah. I sang a song and played the piano.
You were Elton John in that, weren't you, love?
Yeah, the dream was fleeting, but it was there for a moment. And so I figured, I'll just audition for both courses and let fate decide, you know. But on calling the academy, we found out very quickly that I could only audition for one of the courses and I'd have to make a choice here. And I don't know why, something in my gut told me that it was the MDing that I was meant to pursue. I mean, I was always going to work in theatre. And I feel like all the wonderful people who work in this industry have done something in just about every part of it. And most people start with performing, don't they?
Yeah.
Nearly all of them do, no matter where they end up. So I think maybe deep down there was something inside that I found very gratifying about working as a musical director, and also because I knew I wanted to write shows. I know there's a lot of performers who do that pathway, write and perform, but for some reason I thought that the MDing/writing path suited me better. Anyway, that worked out, and I went into RAM.
Did you just say that worked out?
Yeah, that worked out.
I mean, so carry on. Let's talk about your career then, shall we? See
Yeah,
if
go
it
on
did
then.
work out. Dear me, Jordan.
Oh dear. So when was that? That was 10 years ago. Actually, it was 10 years ago. I remember now because we literally had a reunion the other week. I spent 9 months at the Royal Academy of Music, where it was essentially a sort of crash course in musical direction, because it was one of those things that it was in my peripheral, but it was never like my focus, you know. And of course, I'd studied music since I was 7, not
And what
properly.
inspired you to change that pathway?
I think part of it was that it was something that I knew I'd always been doing, but I never realized I could see myself doing that as a full-time career. And just having a lot of belief from a lot of people, especially at Hammond, you're there to work in theatre. You're not there to be the next Darcy Bustle or whatever. Like, you're there to do whatever it is that you're meant to do. And I think I was definitely like encouraged a lot by my teachers back then. So I'm ever so grateful, of course. But the best bit of it all is now when I'm doing a show, if a choreographer says to me, how many 8s is that dance break, I can answer that in a heartbeat. I have no issues with that. Just great. I love dance arranging. I love writing music for dance breaks.
Really?
Yeah, because I know how I dance to things. Sure, I can't actually do it now, but I can imagine it in my head. I know what the moves are like, and I still remember the terminology and all that sort of thing. So,
Hey, do you fancy writing us a little theme tune?
yeah, go on then. Yeah.
Little theme tune for the performer's path, yes, please.
Hammond theme tune, sure. Oh dear. So yeah.
So you left, and then what did you do?
So I graduated in 2015, and for the next year and a bit, I was jobbing as an MD, doing little shows here and there. I did a few shows in the Off West End, you know, that kind of thing. I wasn't writing loads at that time. I was mainly focusing on my musical direction. But my first big break as an MD was a production of Ragtime, a musical by Lynn Ahrens and Stephen Flaherty, based on the seminal novel. It was an actor muso production of Ragtime at Charing Cross Theatre, and that had never been done before.
Would this be with Lemuel Knights?
Correct, yes, with Lem. So
we spoke to him the other day.
Oh, did you? Oh.
He's got his whole 3 episodes of podcast.
As he should. I only just managed to catch him as Jefferson before he left Hamilton. I was very, very proud of him. Very proud of him. But yeah, I ended up getting that job. I would say I got that job way too soon. I was definitely too young for that kind of a role, but somehow managed to get that, and people just believed in me.
Well, I wonder why. What would possibly make them do that?
Don't know. It was complete fluke that I got that job.
No, it wasn't. It's complete talent. It really is.
I mean, it's a funny one, talent, isn't it? I do think about it a lot, because I feel like so much of it has to do with where you grow up and the support network that you have, not just teachers, parents, family, and all that sort of thing. And I was just incredibly lucky. I had 2 parents who allowed me to follow my dreams from a very early age, even if it took 2 years before I got my piano lessons. And incredibly lucky. I became Elton John. And incredibly lucky to go to a school like the Hammond. Like, that's just beyond certainly what my family would ever have thought I would be capable / wanting to do. So yeah, I do think on that a lot, and about how talent is not given. It's time and practice and all those sorts of things.
Hard work.
And patience. And the thing that I keep from ballet, actually, discipline. And I don't hold myself to that every day, but the days that I do, it's because of the ballet training. 100%.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, really. So yeah, we did that production, Actor Muso production, went really well. And that's sort of where my MDing career sort of took off, and did various jobs through to the beginning of the pandemic, when I got my first West End job as assistant music director on City of Angels, which we promptly rehearsed and promptly closed after 2 weeks of previews because of COVID.
Oh, not okay.
Yes.
The gift that kept on giving.
Oh, always. But the thing that COVID gave me was time, and it was time to recalibrate what I wanted to do with my life. And I found myself writing more and more from that point on. And
what was your inspiration for that?
For writing, I think, well, I'd always been into musicals. I'd always loved musical theatre, But I think a friend of mine at Hammond had given me the DVDs for, I think it was Into the Woods and Sunday in the Park with George and Sweeney Todd, and, you know, some of the Sondheims, you know. And watching that was a moment of, oh, wow, I didn't know musical theatre could do this. I didn't connect with it in a way that I might have with other shows, but it was certainly an eye-opener of like, wow, what's capable. And then I watched Rent. Okay, Sondheim made me love musical theatre in a new way, but Rent made me want to write it. I connected with that in a very different way. Jonathan Larson is just a very much different sort of creature to Sondheim, and in a way that hit my heart a bit more. Because I think that there is that thing of going, when you're a young teenager or you're just doing all these shows and musicals and songs, they just appear. They're just things that exist, and you love them, but they just exist. And then a penny drops and you go, oh wow, a human being created that. And then when you put those dots together, you go, I want to learn how to do that. I want to learn how the magic trick is done. Essentially, and I'm still learning, you know.
Aren't we all the time?
Absolutely. And no matter what discipline you're doing in theatre, it's all some of the parts, right? It all comes together, and collaboration being the key to everything in this industry. Absolutely. So yeah, after the pandemic, I seriously started writing. I had written before that, but not in a serious way. And now we're now in 2025, and I've written 2 shows. This is news. I just got my first professional writing commission, which is a show for next year. Can't say what it is, but it's coming next year, and it'll be lots of fun. So
I'm so proud of you, love.
Thank you very much. So the whole writing thing is really taking off now, and I'm very much leaning more towards that than the MDing now. I'm calling you from the rehearsal room for Tick Tick Boom. I'm still MDing, but I found a really good balance that I'm happy with. And once this job's done, I'll go back to writing for a bit. Wait for the next job to come MDing, and if I have the time and it's a passion of mine, then I'll do that show.
You find the time when it's a passion though, don't you?
Of course you do. Yeah, absolutely. It's without a doubt. Yeah, so it's a balancing act. Learning how to say no. You could do a whole TED talk on that.
Oh, don't I know it.
All right, that's it for another episode. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. And wherever you are on your performer's path, stay safe and sane, and let your creative light shine bright on whatever you do.